We are looking at let us see. The chapter is the decision control structure, very important chapter. So in our daily life, we always come across decisions. Means if you are following a road and there is a diversion and there is nothing written, you have to take a decision. Which path will take you to destination? If else is the construct we'll see here today. Along with that, we have switch and various others we'll be talking about, but we will concentrating about the if statement, if else statement, and this is a decision control. When you take a decision, whether to take this part or that part, or which is true or which is false, we will use if else. What are decisions? And decisions, why they are important? See, we have a program and these are nothing but sequence of instructions only. Now, if something happens, something is true, you want to execute these two lines. But if this is not true, you don't want to execute these two lines. You don't want these two lines to run if this condition is not true. For that, the decision control structures are there, and we have if statement, if else statement, and we have conditional operators. We also call it as ternary operator, and this is just the form of if else only. If statement. Most of the languages, high level languages, middle level languages, they provide if, that is, if something happens or if decision control, and the general form is like this. If, in if, what you have to do is, inside this if, you have a round bracket, and this if, this is if, inside this round bracket you have a condition. Now this condition either needs to be true or false. If this condition is true, the line which is just next to it is going to execute. Only after this, the line is going to execute. If this condition is false, the condition inside the parenthesis, this line is not going to execute. So this is the only thing, that is the truth or falsity will decide whether the line which is coming has to be executed or not. So how this inside this condition is going to give you true and false? We'll see. We'll use relational operator. Like x equal to y. If I write if f is equal to y, please understand that is equal to is done through, or equality is checked through double is equal to. So these are two assignment operators. So if x equal to y means x is equal to y, x not equal to y, x less than y, x greater than y, x less than equal to y, and x greater than or equal to y. So these are relational operator. Relation operator means your brother is taller than you. So whether it is true or false, yes, it is true, so it will give true. Now if you are this and your brother is smaller, you say it is false because you are taller than your brother. It becomes false. So this will either give you true or it will either give you false. Not equal to. This is equal to, this is not equal to. Whether x is not equal to means 2 is not equal to 3. Yes, it is true. But 2 is not equal to 2. It is false because 2 is actually equal to 2. We'll take an example. This is the demonstration of if statement. Say we have an integer variable num. We have entered, or we want user to enter a number which is less than 10. It should be less than 10. This is less than 10. So we have taken this in num. If number is actually less than equal to 10, we say okay, so write something. But if it is not, we'll also see that case. But if does what? If does this thing that this condition, or this is the condition which is going to give you either true or false. If you enter 9, see 9 is less than equal to 10, then it will be true. If somebody enters 100, 100 is not less than equal to 10, so it will give you false. So depending upon true, this line will be executed. If it is false, this line will not be executed. Control will not go to this line. Otherwise, if this is true, control will go to this line. That is the decision control, right? Let us see what is happening in this program through a flowchart. We enter a number or ask a number to enter 10. We input that number. Now, this is our decision control. This is our decision control. Whether number is greater than 10, if it is yes, this line will be printed. Otherwise, if number is not greater than 10, then if it is not, then we don't print that line. We come to this stop condition. Let us take an example. While purchasing certain items, a discount of 10% is offered if the quantity is more than 1000. If the quantity of the item you have purchased, if it is more than 1000, then the 10% discount is, you are eligible for 10% discount. Otherwise not. How to do this? If the quantity and price per item, these are to be inputted using the keyboard, we have to write a program to calculate the total expenses. Now let us see how this if decision control can be employed. First of all, we say DIS equal to 0. This is very important. Why we are saying this or discount equal to 0? Because if the number of items being purchased is less than 1000, then we have to put this equal to 0 because there will be no discount. Otherwise, if the item happens to be more than 1000, you have to give a discount. So what you have to do? See, first of all, input the quantity and rate. If this is the decision control, this is where you are going to use if. If the quantity is greater than 1000, if it is yes, then you put discount equal to 10. Otherwise, you said no, that is this discount will be 0 as you have initialized here. Then you will calculate the total. Total will be simply quantity into rate minus quantity into rate into discount percent, this by 100. And then we print the total and we stop. How this is going to be implemented in C? See, we will initialize Q2I means quantity and discount equal to 0. This is very important. You may ask question, is it necessary to give DIS or discount equal to 0? Yes, because this cannot just be left like this. It may contain any garbage value. When you have initialized or when you have given it to be 0, then if the condition fails, that is, the items are less than 1000, then this will be used. How? We will print enter quantity and rate, and this will be, you will be entering or scanning the %D, %F because you have given integer as quantity and the float as rate. Now what is happening here is, this is very important. This is our decision control. This is our decision control. If quantity is greater than 1000, you give a discount equal to 10. If quantity is not greater than 1000, you don't give any discount. This line will never execute. If this condition falls, that means if this condition falls, this will be 0. So this part eventually will be of no use because it will be 0. Otherwise, if actually the quantity is greater than 1000, then 10 will come here and you will actually get a discount of 10%. Then you print out the result. See, these are the results. 1200 means the quantity is greater than 1000, you get a discount. If the quantity is less than 1000, that is 200 is the quantity, you don't get a discount. Actually, discount will be 0 as you initialized here. So this is how this program runs, and as I just said, this equal to 0 is quite necessary. It's actually in this program, this is the core of the decision. The real thing here is, if this condition, this can be true or false, as we just saw, some statement will execute. If it is false, this statement is not going to execute. So this is a condition. That means you can even use an expression inside this. That means you have a condition, but there is no restriction. You can have an expression also, but this expression should give you a result as true or false. The result should be either true or false. So what we are trying to do here is, this is an expression. See, 3 plus 2 modulo 5. 3 plus 2 modulo 5. 2 modulo 5. 2 modulo 5 is what? It will be 2. You know, in modulo, if the number is numerator is smaller than the denominator, you get the numerator by itself in modulo. So you get what? 2. You get 2 here. And 3 plus 2 is 5. And when this is 5, this is going to work. Even if you have 10, it is going to work. If for minus 5, it is going to work. How it is happening? What is the real thing? Real thing is, if 0, then this line will not execute. Otherwise, anything other than 0, it can be 2, it can be 5, it can be minus 999, it can be 55, anything you give other than 0, this will be treated as true. I hope I am clear. Apart from 0, anything which comes here, apart from 0, if 0 means it is false, the condition is false. If you give any number here, the compiler in C is going to take it as true. I hope you got the idea. 10, 5, minus 5, no worry. Any number 10 or minus 5 or any number here other than 0 will always be true. So any number here will be true except 0. Multiple statements within if. You can have multiple statements. By now we have just seen that our execution was what? If the condition here, then this line. So if this condition is true, this line is going to execute. If the condition is false, this line is not going to execute. But what we are trying to suggest here is that if you want more than one line to be executed, then what you have to do? Because we have just seen only one line will be executed after if. If you want to execute more than one line, the simplest is to put them inside a brace. We'll see an example. The current year and the year in which the employee joined in the organization, they are entered through keyboard. If the number of years for which the employee has served the organization is greater than 3, he gets a bonus of 2500. Otherwise, he won't get anything. If the year of service are not greater than 3, the program should do nothing. See, this is our program. This is bonus, this is current year, this is year of joining, this is year of service. Say somebody entered the current year as 2018 and he entered 2016 as the joining year. What is the difference? What is the difference? Difference is 2. So he won't get any bonus. He won't get any bonus. But if he enters the current year is 2018, he joined in 2013. That means 5 years he has worked. He is eligible to get the bonus. So what we will do here is we'll take the difference of current year and year of joining, we'll enter current year and year of joining, and this year of service will be compared with 3. If it is greater than 3, then we want to execute 2 lines. How to execute 2 lines? We have to give it inside a brace. So these 2 lines are inside the brace. And if it is less than 3, we don't execute these 2 lines. So what was happening here is, we entered the current year and year of joining. Then the year of service can be computed using current year minus year of joining. If at all this year of service is greater than 3, if it is yes, we execute multiple lines. Bonus, print, anything you can do. How many lines you want, it's up to you. You can execute 100 lines, no problem with that. If at all the case is not there, that is year of service is less than 3, then there has to be done nothing. The if-else statement. The if-else statement says, if the condition is true, very well, you execute this line. But what if this condition is not true? You want to do something if this condition is not true. That means if this condition is false, then what you need to do? You want to do something. So just put it after else. There is no semicolon after if, there is no semicolon after else. If condition is true, this line will be executed. If this condition is false, then whatever you have written after else will be executed. We'll see this with an example. If you are talking about a company, if in a company an employee is paid like this, if his basic salary is less than 1500, then HRA will be 10% of the basic salary, DA will be 90% of the basic salary. If his salary is either equal to or above 1500, there are 2 cases. If it is less than 1500, HRA and DA is like this. If it is above 1500, HRA is given as 500 and DA will be 98% of the basic salary. If the employee salary is to be inputted through the keyboard, we have to write a program to find the gross salary. How to write it? We will start with a float as basic salary, gross salary, DA, DNS allowance and house rent allowance. We'll enter the basic salary. We'll see whether this basic salary is less than 1500. If it is less than 1500, the HRA has to be computed as 10%, 10 by 100 of BS. The DA has to be computed as 90% of the 90 by 100 of BS. Otherwise, if this is not the case, the second case, then you have to execute that case, you have to put an else. See the construct. If this condition, then whatever you want to give inside a brace, else the other condition has to be given inside else. HRA will be 500 and DA will be 98% of the basic salary. And whatever comes, you have to compute the gross salary using BS plus HRA plus DA and you just have to print. So what is happening here is, you want to do something. If is BS less than 1500? If it is less than 1500, this is the yes condition. So this goes under if true. Then if this is true, you execute these two lines. Else, if this condition is false, no. If this is a yes, you go here. If this is false, you go this side. And you execute these two lines. That means you put this under else. The condition is true, you execute two lines. Condition is false, that means you have to go to the else and you print these two lines and you have to compute the addition and print GS. So there are certain points. The group of statement after if up to and not including else, it is called as if block, and the statements after the else, they form the else block. So in if else construct, we have a if block and we have a else block. You also see that else is written exactly below if. This is an indentation. There is a formatting because you can have multiple if else inside if else's. So the indentation or the formatting has to be very clear. See, if you see properly this A and B in general English, we have given a space here. We have written properly so that you can understand that these two are different paragraphs. If I start notice right here, this will not give you an idea that I am trying to emphasize 2 points. This is what I am talking about, that the indentation has to be very specific, very clear in order to make the program well understood. And had there been only one statement, you don't have to put the braces. Braces are put only if you want more than one line to be executed. But if you want to execute one line, you can also place a brace. There is no restriction. Nested if else. Nesting means putting if else inside if else. Means nesting is a condition where you have, say, an example, enter either 1 or 2. You are scanning I now and you are saying if I equal to 1, you write something. You come to else, then you say if else inside this if. So you are nesting this if else inside a else. You can nest this if else inside this also. So this is nesting. We can have multiple if else's inside if else's. So if else construct inside if else construct, you can have the if else inside if, you can have if else inside else. So you can have, but there has to be a proper indentation. But as we just said, the number of if else should not be too much, because the program as it goes larger, then the debugging becomes very, very difficult if you have multiple if else's inside. Means nesting will actually makes, if you have some errors, it will make the debugging or removing the errors quite difficult. Forms of if. There are certain forms of if. The if statement can only not take one form, it have multiple form. Like if condition, just put a one line. If the condition is true, you want multiple line, put it inside the braces. If condition is true, then you do this. Otherwise, the condition is false, then you write it below else. If condition is true, you do this, else you do this. You can have multiple lines below if, multiple lines below your else. If the condition is true, you do this. Something you have to do, one line if you want to write. Then you have inside else, you can have if, Again else, you can have inside this else is if else. There is no foundation. You can also have if. If the condition is true, you can have if else inside this if. You can have else, you can have just one line. Or either you can have one more if else inside your else. So this is the first discussion we have taken on this chapter. We'll be taking one more. Till then, thank you so much. Take care of yourself.